Hey everybody, it's the Sonic here, and as you guys might not know, I am also a Detective Conan fan. And I mean huge. I mean, it's been going on for about 21 years now, and when I started watching it, I only knew that there were 5 seasons. I started off in English dub, and I was like, alright. My friend recommended it, I'm like, I'll probably delete this when he leaves, because he put a bunch of anime on my computer. This is like years ago. And I was like, alright, well, he left. I watched one of the animes and I finished it, and I was just like, alright, let's give this a try. He looks pretty dorky with those big ears. I mean, thank God they thinned out, but I mean, I'm still in love with the classic design because that's how I started. And I eventually started watching it. I got about a quarter way. I'm like, alright, I won't delete it for now because I'm kind of interested on how he shrunk and is he going to get his body back? Because some of the thumbnails on the videos that I had showed him as Jimmy or Shinichi in that case, and I was just like, does it come back or something, or is he constantly reverting back and forth? I was just like, what? And so I decided to watch. Anyway, I got to the end of the 5 seasons, and I'm like, there's no end. I actually skipped a few episodes just quickly see how it would end, and then I'd go back, because I binged watched it, like, straight. And comes to it, there was no ending. I'm like, maybe the files were out of order, so I rewatched everything that I skipped over, like the little ending, like the last few episodes, and I'm like, still no ending. What? Went to Wikipedia, and I saw that there were 6 seasons. I'm like, oh, okay. Couldn't find the 6th season in English, and I was like, okay. Come to know, there's like 23 seasons, and I'm like, are you serious? So I broke down, stopped watching it. And I'm like, okay, you want to know what? I got to get back into this. So I started watching it. I binge watched it. It was about 700 and some odd episodes when I roughly, let's say 744. Probably a little bit less than that, but it was no more than that for sure. And I binged watched it all the way up to that number. And now I'm just like years later, and I'm just like, I don't have time to do that anymore, but at least I'm caught up. And every once in a while, I'll slip behind a few episodes, maybe 6 or so, but I'm caught up now. Can't wait for the next part. Love the new opening too, by the way. But I decided, alright, let's do, I was like, I kind of want to go back and watch some stuff that's pertaining to the Black Organization, so I can try and maybe possibly find something new that I don't know coming up to the next coming up arcs that look really good. But I was just like, I'm already too hyped. And I was too hyped about the last arc that sort of disappointed me, but I still loved. But I was just like, do I really want to hype myself up and rewatch something and get too hyped up, and then I can't wait because we're not going to get anything until either last week of January or mid-February about any of this upcoming stuff. So I didn't want to give my hopes up, and I didn't want to be more excited than I already am. But what do? The detective inside me, as I'm also getting my major degree towards criminal justice, and I was just like, because I want to eventually become a detective, and I was just like, the brain of me came out, and I started pacing my living room and dining room, and I was just talking to myself for a good 36 minutes, and I wish I recorded it, but I'll try my best to reenact it without the raw deduction and correcting myself as I come across a new clue or a new piece. I'm sorry that I didn't record it, and I kept on saying I should probably be recording this like every 8 minutes or so. But, it would have been really cool to see it that way, to see it raw, but I guess this saves time in the end. So, Karuzama. Or should I say Karuzama with a C. That is the name of the Black Organization, which, in me, it's really hard to say it now after, how long. But it's also like ASAKA and ASAKA. How the K and the C, as in K-A and C-A, are pronounced the same in the song ASAKA. That was really a part of the, last few arcs. But Karuzama, with the K, is the boss of the organization. Karuzama was thought to be dead, and he has most likely been the same age for the past 2 decades. This is from around the time of episode 219 in file 299, and he was claimed to be dead 50 years ago. Now, mind you, we are now in almost the 900s in episode count, so this is a real long time ago. I would say Gosho has been playing it really on thin ice and trying to stretch it out as long as he could, and I don't blame him. I mean, it's doing great. So I could see, like, from a lot, it was not supposed to be, like, more than, like, a season or so, I believe, originally when it first started. And I believe that he knew that, and he's like, oh, this is really popular, let's keep it going, and lightly stretched it out, as you can see how Ran or Rachel was really on top of Conan's shit. Like, he was just like, or she was just like, hey, I know this, I know who you are, and I'm going to, I'm going to get you to prove it to me. And then it just saw it slowly mellow out. And now we have these things called Ran suspicion arcs. Like, where they are dedicated to her getting closer. What happened to this being every other episode? Why is it like every 100 now? And as we are getting another Ran suspicion arc, I believe very soon. I mean, it'll probably be like March or after, because they're really pushed back the upcoming arcs, but whatever. So I came across myself to think, okay, you want to know what? I'm going to do this. And I started pacing, and I started concluding, and anyway, let's jump into it. So, I'll be covering the boss of the organization, RUM, who was the second in command, and Vermouth's relation to the boss. In the Scarlet Arc, Vermouth is related to the boss, as said. As Bourbon said, it would be a shame if the organization found out that you are the boss's cue gunpoint. As Bourbon said, that's not a smart idea. And Vermouth says, so? Or something like that. And anyway, Bourbon comes to say, it wouldn't be an easy mess to clean up. She says, it's not my problem. It's not my car. Then he says, didn't you forget that if I die, your secret will be leaked out to the organization? Which means he's told some people. But who, there's still a lot of questions there. But I think the main question is, how is your relation to the boss? I then started to speculate when the Scarlet Arc originally first aired. Wife was my first pick. Then a while went by and I considered maybe daughter? It was not long until I considered granddaughter. And then to eventually just become full circle, I had a granddaughter just for safety's sake. At this point, I listed almost every single possibility, as there are still more, and it keeps on branching and branching, but I didn't think Gosho would ever go that far. So, as I look at these are the only possibilities. I looked at myself, and I said, great job, everyone's a suspect. Now, no matter who Gosho picks, I'm right. Almost about 99.8%. Besides any curveball Gosho can throw me. But I still decided on wife, as it made the most sense, until I realized Kuruzuma is the boss of the organization. I then reopened the case, still seeing wife as the option. Till it clicked, and I was like, wait, how could Kuruzuma Rena be roughly 66 and Vermouth be 29 years old? I started to lead towards granddaughter. And then I started taking a look at the whole cast. The whole cast. Then you lay eyes on someone else who's dead. Sharon Vineyard. The mother of Chris Vineyard, aka Vermouth. Then you lay your eyes on someone else from the dead, Sharon Vineyard, the mother of Chris Vineyard, aka Vermouth. I roughly placed Sharon at the age of 40, as it seemed best since Yukiko would be around that age as well. At least her last title card that was dated as 37, so let's round up for mathematical sake. I then placed the fragment of daughter, and I was like, how could Sharon be dead and 40? That doesn't make sense. So I moved to granddaughter, into making Sharon Vineyard the daughter of Kuruzuma? And then I thought to myself, Kuruzuma was 66 for the past 2 decades, with Vermouth never really seeming to age from her first encounter with Jody-sensei when she killed Jody's father when Jody was just a mere child. And placing Vermouth at 29, I thought, how could this add up? So then I thought into my own life, and I thought, well, my aunt is roughly at the age of 46. And my grandfather was almost, 70-ish. And I was thinking to myself, well, how could that add up? And I was thinking, Kuruzuma's 66, she's 40, it's possible. I said, granddaughter's really on the table. But I thought to myself, she's 40, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So then I started thinking of Maria and Gerald Robotnik. And I thought to myself, she is probably 16, 17, let's say 16, and Gerald Robotnik had to at least be 65. And I thought to myself, if this was the case, Vermouth would have to be 16 or 17. The same age, roughly, as Jimmy Kudo, or Shinichi Kudo. And I was thinking, this just doesn't add up. It is still somewhat possible for Sharon to be the daughter, because then I realized Sharon was older than Yukiko. And I was like, Sharon had to be at least 50 to 55. Probably 50, but 55, Kuruzuma probably started dating Sharon and had Vermouth before he settled at his age. He probably didn't settle at the age of 66 till Sharon died. So I was like, now that could add up. That could add up with Sharon being the daughter. But it didn't add up to comparing Kuruzuma and Vermouth's age for him being his granddaughter. If you kept the skills and statistics of the whole cast. And I was thinking, it doesn't add up. But Gosho does make plot holes, and he does sometimes fumble. And how can you keep track of all this, you know what I mean? And so there is a possibility granddaughter's still on the table. But I'm going to leave it at daughter. I think that daughter... So then I thought to myself, if she was the daughter, that would place her at about 37 to 40, roughly the same age as Yukiko. If you actually go back to the day of Sharon Vineyard's funeral, you see Vermouth at her current age of roughly 29, which could actually best conclude that it was around that time that they set their aging skills roughly. Roughly. No one has to say that she was directly 29. That was her appearance. And she really hasn't changed a day in her life since then. So what you could best conclude is it was around that time, right after Sharon Vineyard's death, when Sharon... Well, before Sharon died, she was actually dead for a while. And Chris took over Sharon's life and became her. Eventually, when she decided, okay, it's time to bury the hatchet of, playing this role, it's time to kill Mom off. She's been dead for a while. So, they have the funeral, and Chris reprises her role as Chris. And only Chris. Until she becomes, Vermouth. But anyway, what happens there is Chris Vineyard, probably right or roughly around that time, because of course she was around that age, she has to lock at that age, which probably means it was around that time, which actually places Kuruzuma at, Sharon died around 55, he could have been, 60, 65, because, 63, 64, roughly around Sharon's original death point. Around Sharon's original death point. When you lead it to that, he's roughly around the age of locking at 66, and Vermouth is roughly at the age of 29 ready to lock. So a little bit after Sharon's death, they both lock their age, which placing Vermouth at 29 and Kuruzama at 66. Which very well, as much as I don't like to crunch the numbers, it makes sense for daughter. I still want to leave granddaughter on the table for any curveball Gosho might throw me. Like, for example, the de-aging process on the pill, because I don't know if it's pills or what, but then I thought, well, APTX shrinks. But I'm like, wait, the organization doesn't know that. They don't know it shrinks. Unless the boss and, Vermouth didn't technically know, I don't think. But I don't think they're taking pills for de-aging. I think the pills lock them at age, and it prevents them from aging. And the de-aging process was just a side effect that no one knew about, not even the boss. And I think because the pill wasn't made for de-aging, the pill was made to kill somebody without leaving a trace. So I do think that Kuruzama could be the father of Vermouth. I think he could be the father. Even they have the same hair. I mean, he lost a lot, but I meant the color-wise. And I want to leave granddaughter on the table just in case of any curveball he might throw me. But I'm locking at granddaughter and daughter. No grades, no branching, no anything. But I'm going to lock my answer down, my answer, as daughter. Although that those are the two most feasible options on the table, I'm going to go with daughter. So, if I can best conclude, Vermouth is the daughter of Kuruzama. That's my deduction. There's a lot I left out that I can't remember, and it's bothering me. And I even took an extra 5 minutes of pacing trying to get it back, but I can't get it back. So I hope everything made sense. And if not, feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you. But now on to the next topic at hand, RUM. I have a few speculations for RUM, as the three, of course, physiques we got for him was RUM, a strongly built man, a feminine physique, RUM is an elderly physique. Those are the three, things that we got. We also got, a fake eye, stuff like that. As our first suspect is Hui Kurura, Rumi Wasaka, Kenori Wakita, Kensuke Yamayato, a strongly built man, Mr. Morofushi, a young man, Chikikara Katsumata, Shinichi Warada, Mary, which I find unlikely, and of course what we thought to be the lady from movie 20. And who is RUM, you may ask? Well, look, a lot's been going on recently in my life, and I took literally a month break almost from this video, and I don't remember, and there are so many things I should have done when trying to record this, as you can tell through the beginning of this and whatnot, and I don't remember who I think RUM was. And it's not on the tip of my tongue, and I can't. But the fascinating part of all this is a good 3 chunk of these people on this list are all looking into Shinichi in an upcoming file that's supposed to be coming out soon. So maybe we'll get some more light on this. But I didn't want to suspect the chief guy with the fake guy, but part of me is leaning on that right now, and that's probably just because I zoned out. I'm literally blank for words. I have this stuff so spot on, so rock solid, and I know I shouldn't have taken the break that I did. But don't think you're leaving empty-handed on RUM. A fascinating theory I've come up with is, what if rum doesn't exist? And let me explain to you, because clearly rum exists. There are 3 known physiques as rumors going on about what rum looks like. Well, rum is second in command, which means he is the only one who talks to the boss directly. Gin might maybe too, but I believe it's always passed down from rum or vermouth. And what if rum was the boss himself? And now I know what you're thinking, but no, he's second in command. That doesn't make sense. Well, if you constantly see this guy, whoever this guy is talking to that nobody knows, but he's talking to him a lot, that must be the boss of the organization. The boss can't have that happen. So what if he's really himself, and if you just see this guy walking around not talking to the boss because the boss is himself, it just looks like he's a guy walking around. You can't pin him to anybody because he's never with anybody. And that's how rum could be the boss. So it is a fruitful thought. I'm not saying it's true, but it's something to think about. But if I remember what I was trying to say about rum, I'll either make an update video or pin it in the comments. But as far as the boss goes, I really wanted it to be the police chief from Captured in Her Eyes and a few other things that he appeared in. Because Gosho said, he appeared once in the series at least. Not I had to say it was canon or anything, but I mean, that's what I wanted it to be. It felt right. It was perfect. And after looking into the Karuzama thing, I don't see it being possible. There's still like a 0.1% chance of him being it, and I want it to be him, but or at least want him to at least be involved in the organization somehow. But I gotta learn how to suck it up and deal with it, that he is not the boss. It's physically impossible. 100% impossible. But we're getting close to this boss. And even closer to rum. Or both, technically, if you look into that theory. But I hope that I informed you guys, and I hope I got you guys thinking. And I definitely recommend rewatching or watching for the first time the episode I talked about in the beginning. I have yet to fully rewatch it again. And that was one of them I wasn't paying attention to that much when I originally watched it. And because I originally binge watched the series, long story, for another day, if you guys want to ever hear about that. But I gotta, really look into it. So this is just a kind of like a rough freestyle. But I hope that you guys were informed, and I hope this gets you guys thinking. And, if you ever want to hear more videos like these, or more Conan discussions, or episode reaction discussions, leave a comment below. Leave a like. Let me know what you want to hear Detective Conan wise, or even from my other content that's going on. But anyway, this has been the Radic Sonic, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and become part of the Redic Empire. Or Conan, I don't know. Whatever that turns out to be. I don't have one for Conan yet. But I'll see you all next time.